Does it work? I apologize to all of those online. We have been muted. Okay. All right, so next up, we will move to the approval of agenda. Is there any motions to amend the agenda at this time? Legislator Prishinaro? There is a motion to add CR 6712 to the agenda. Seconded by Parliamentarian Lunger, an objection from Legislator Ibeza. So we will move to a vote.
We're gonna have discussion before we vote.
We discuss?
Yeah, we can discuss. Director Skinner.
Hello, this bill is pretty important as it gives funding to the farm. And if we don't do it now, it's not gonna get.
That's not the.
Oh, my bad, never mind. Oh, okay. Never mind. You're welcome.
Legislator DeVore.
Since the last for state Christian government, what is this CR 6712 that you're using? I don't need that.
This is the institutional amendment. Oh, no, right. No, this isn't. I can ask Eric to paste it.
Director Lehman Pace.
This is a resolution that had been worked on a little bit. I picked it up from a different legislator who it was floundering a little bit. This is the ICE off-campus resolution, which basically is trying to get OUPD to not cooperate with Immigration Customs Enforcement unless compelled to via a warrant. Thank you. I would like further time to explain by at least allowing it to be added to the agenda so it may be discussed. Thank you.
Any other discussion this time? All right, we will move to a vote.
Why the discussion?
Director Skinner.
I do think it should be put on the agenda just to discuss. I mean, it's not really fair to just kill it beforehand.
Any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, we will now move to a vote. Chairperson Smith.
Yay.
Legislator DeVore.
Yay.
Legislator Mullins. Legislator Rosario. That was a yay, correct?
Yeah.
Legislator Waters.
Yay.
Speaker Johnson. Majority Leader Smith. Chairperson Valdez. Parliamentarian Lunger. Legislator Ali. Legislator Arnold. Legislator Drizwicki. Legislator Ibeza. Legislator Ibeza. Legislator Maku. Legislator Mason.
Abstain.
Legislator Prishinaro. Legislator Wiegand. Legislator Wolf.
Somebody else. Sorry, that's okay.
All right, so since we had 7 abstentions, we do not meet quorum. So the vote does not go through and CR 6712 will not be added to the agenda. Is there any other motions to amend the agenda at this time? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on. All right, next up. Seeing no motions to amend the agenda at this time, we will go ahead and move to a voice vote. Is there any nays at this time? Any yays? All right, with that, the agenda has been approved. Next up on the agenda, we have a guest speaker. Today, Mariam Faruqi, former president of Student Congress, is coming to us from Fund My Future. This is presented by President Garcia, although she has stepped out of the room briefly. So I will introduce Mariam. She is currently working with Fund My Future, and they are doing some listening tours regarding tax justice. And she has joined us today to discuss some of the work that she's doing with Fund My Future. So Mariam, I will go ahead and pass it off to you.
Thank you, Marian. I thank you, Vice President Brummer. Okay, I'm gonna try to share my screen real quick. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's telling me to send a request, or do you want me to just send you the link? What works best?
You want to send the link in the chat?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Makes it easier because I was sharing my screen another time and Zoom has this new fun thing where like it looks like you're like a TikTok where you're like stitching it because you're like your head is in front of the presentation. Anyways, separate thing. Okay, this is the link. Tell me if it works. And I know you guys have a lot going on today, so I'm gonna try my best to keep it short. By that I mean 10-15 minutes. Okay. Can everyone in person hear me okay?
Yes.
Alrighty. And so this is meant to be a listening tour. So it's a presentation, but we also want to hear like feedback from people. So I know generally like Q&A is left to the end, but I'm perfectly okay with just like hearing thoughts, how people are feeling as we go through this. But we can also do Q&A at the end. So I'll just, to start out though, I'll give you some more context of who I am and why I'm here. So yeah, my name is Mariam Faruqi. I am the outreach manager at Fund My Future. And what Fund My Future is a Grow the Pie coalition. And I'll tell you when I go to the next slide. We're still on this one. We're a Grow the Pie coalition. And what that means is we are a group of a lot of other organizations. So our members are not people, our members are other organizations. We have environmental organizations like Clean Water Action, Sierra Club, unions. We have like the AFT, that's the teachers union, the Michigan Education Association, Michigan League of Public Policy, all these different organizations that basically came together at some point a couple years ago and said, we're tired of fighting over crumbs when it comes to the budget in Lansing. Right? We're tired of being told you have to pick between clean water and good schools, or clean water and, work bare minimum, smooth roads. And so the idea is let's grow the pie. Let's make a bigger pot of funding so we have money for all of these different things, right? And Fund My Future's philosophy, and we are nonpartisan, we're at 501c3. Our philosophy is let's raise money to fully and fairly fund our public services, and let's do that by making sure that wealthy individuals and corporations pay their fair share in taxes. And this, again, is a very nonpartisan issue. This is even something being discussed in Lansing with Democrats and Republicans working together, I think next week with, different things when it comes to like corporate welfare, for example. So I just wanted to preface it with that. And yeah, we can move on to our next slide. Okay, so today I'm here to talk about pretty much why we love taxes at Fund My Future. I'm going to also talk about a ballot initiative that we are running for November 2026, which we have to start a year ahead because you need to get like 600,000 signatures a year before that. So that's why I'm talking to everybody now. And that ballot initiative is to have the wealthy in Michigan pay their fair share in taxes so we can put that money towards schools. And so I'll give more information on that as we go through this. And also, one more thing is a lot of people really want to know, are really curious about Gen Z and what does Gen Z think about taxes, and just everybody wants to know what's going on in Gen Z's brains. And so that's why it's a listening tour, because we're still building our messaging. And as we build our campaign, we want to be hearing from, I know everybody hears this word a lot, hearing from stakeholders like students at a university who would be impacted by this because we want to put money into the school aid fund, right? So we want to know and we want to be engaging with stakeholders to hear about how does this read with you? Is that how do you know, what do you think of this? What are you thinking when you hear about these things? So yeah, okay, ready for the next slide. Okay, so at Fund My Future, we believe that taxes in these modern times are one of the ways that we show that we care for one another. We say taxes are how we show we care for one another. And what do we mean by that? Well, when you buy a granola bar, when you know, do anything, you pay sales tax, right? And taxes, eventually, they end up going into all these different things in our society. Clean water is regulated by the government, which is paid for by taxes, right? Electricity on here, you can see it all goes back to taxes. There's people buying a house here, but if you think about it, like zoning laws and like codes and code violations and making sure that there's someone there to inspect your house before you move in, to know that the stairs are not like so steep that you could fall really easily, right? So there's all these different ways in which we see taxes, whether we like realize it or not, that impact our lives. And they're basically how we as a community show that we care for one another and that we show up for one another, right? And so we'll move on to our next slide. And so I have a quick 1-minute video. It's California based, so they're going to say California at the end. So just ignore that. We don't have a Michigan version just yet. As I said, we're building the campaign. So this is like a quick 1-minute video just to show you kind of where we're coming from.
Where we're from, people do extraordinary things with whatever they have. But can you imagine what our neighborhoods would look like if we had all the resources we need? All the resources that the kids deserve? But they keep telling us there isn't enough for people like us. And while the neighborhoods are at their limits, just blocks away, we see giant corporations with unimaginable wealth. These big corporations are getting rich off our land, paying poverty wages, polluting our air and water, and pitting us against each other. Then finding loopholes to get out of paying their fair share, while our parks, schools, and roads fall into disrepair. So what would happen if we made these huge corporations pay what they owe? If we came together as we have in the past? Can you imagine it? Can you see it? Isn't it beautiful? Join us.
Okay, so I'll open it up to the floor really quickly. Sorry, yeah, this slide is really annoying. It like when you click on it, it plays it again. But I'll pause here for a quick second just to hear any feedback of how does this read with everybody? What are thoughts? Just yeah. And we can move to the next slide. It's the same. It's not, yeah.
Any comments at this time? Director Skinner?
I was wondering, what exactly is the ballot like measurement? Like what is the ballot like asking for? Because you are putting up a ballot measure.
Yes.
Isn't-
Yeah.
What exactly,
I'll-
what's like the exact wording, I guess?
Yeah, we don't have the exact wording just yet. I'll get to like later in the presentation of like as specific as we can get right now, but you have to file it with the Board of Canvassers, and that's going to happen within the next month. And then once that's filed, we'll have the actual language. But right now, there's a lot of polling going on, and there's message testing and figuring out not even just message testing, like the language of like what exactly will this look like. All we know right now is that it's going to be about like making sure the wealthy pay their fair share and making sure that our schools are fully and fairly funded. And I'll get more into the details on that later, so that might help. But yeah, just like I don't know if there's any like feelings that this video evokes or like thoughts, questions. I'll give it to maybe 1 or 2 more comments and then we'll continue on.
I am not seeing any hands at this time.
Okay. I think we probably need more information, it sounds like. Okay, I don't know if the screen is frozen on my end or, okay. So yeah, that was just emphasizing again, taxes are how we all show one another we care. And so what do our communities look like right now? Well, this is a graph that is showing, not a graph, a bar chart, whatever, a histogram, I don't know what it's called. That's showing you the Michigan funding shortfall. So these are all the areas, and this is how much money that we like need that we don't have for these important things like water infrastructure, schools, childcare, roads. Schools, as you can see, is the biggest one. There's a shortfall of over $4 billion when it comes to schools. And so that's what we look like where things are at the state level right now, right? A lot of our services are underfunded. Ready for the next slide?
President Garcia.
Point of order, just really quickly, if everyone can make sure to be respectful, especially those in the gallery. If you need to have any conversations, please have them outside, but at this time we are paying attention to the business at hand. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're ready for the next slide. Although maybe before we go to the next slide, any reactions, responses, thoughts to this one? Let's go back. Sorry.
Director Linda Pace.
This is definitely consistent with some of what we have heard, sorry, at the state level about how Michigan continues to fall behind again and again and again amongst our peer states in terms of funding schools, funding higher education. I'm sure we here at Oakland can attest to that, since we received one of the lowest per student allocations from the state of Michigan. And so I think if we had more of a budget surplus by taxing those who make the most money a fair share, this could be eliminated. Think of how much more you would benefit as an Oakland University student if the university actually received the amount of funding that it should be getting. You know, I mean, the endless building renovations would continue, but they sure happen a little bit faster. Or the amount of broken light stations probably wouldn't happen. Or if you feel like departments that you care about are underfunded, they might actually be able to receive proper funding if we get the right amount of allocation by actually taxing people who should be taxed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so, yeah, let's move on to our next. And also speaking to what you're saying, Liam and Pace, I'm not, I don't know what to say. Speaking to what you're saying, Michigan is like 46. We rank 46. We're really at the bottom when it comes to revenue. That's what, it's weird because usually revenue is like a corporate word, but it's also used when you talk about how much money is the government bringing in through tax dollars. And so that's why we're like a revenue coalition. And and Michigan ranks like, we're 46 out of 50 when it comes to how much revenue we bring in. So it's very concerning. And yes, I'm ready for the next slide. Sorry, I heard something and it cut out.
We have one more comment for you.
Oh, one more comment? Yeah.
I know this is like what, the third or fourth time I've seen this, but I don't want to say this again. I have to second what Director Lemon Pace said. I think it's very important that we fund our schools, considering that's how future citizens are educated and are brought up in our in how we, you know, make them into not just functioning members of society, but also as citizens. So I really do think that seeing that number and seeing over $4 billion of shortfall for funding is really sad. And it would benefit us all a lot as students if we, you know, cut back on actually funded our schools.
Yeah.
Hands up before we proceed.
Did you say
Legislator,
there's another hands up? Because yeah, definitely we want to hear as much as we can.
yes, Legislator Weekend.
Raise the tax rate or tax evasion, because of course tax evasion can be done, but how are we going to realistically back down on that with companies? And also companies create job opportunities and stimulate the economy, so if companies are making more money, that would be passed down into like lower income areas because of the stimulation and having more money. So I'm not really sure what the goal here is, I would say.
Did you hear that, Mariam?
I think I got like it was cutting out a little bit, but I heard something about tax evasion and then companies creating jobs.
Yes, would you like to repeat your comment?
So I was just saying that I wasn't really sure what the goal is, because, obviously if the companies are committing tax evasion, like, that's a bad thing, but I don't see a way that you're giving us a solution to that. Like, how are we gonna crack down on tax evasion? And if they are doing it, would it really be the worst thing, because that would stimulate the economy, more money, more job opportunities?
Sure, sure. Yeah, we can. Are there more hands up, or do I wanna? I'll go into more detail.
We have one more hand up.
Okay.
Legislator Wolf?
I think it is highly concerning that we're falling behind in the key areas of schools and childcare, which I think greatly de-incentivizes the creation of families and greatly penalizes people who do have younger in mind. And I think our children have a future, and there is a vulnerable and innocent people in our society, and I think they deserve the best we can offer. And first off, tax evasion is a crime. That is just logistically bad for society. We should not tolerate crime. And then second off, if we're 46, I think we can do a little bit better. And also, big corporations are not handing down money to its employees for childcare in schools. Like, they're not paying for private schools or private childcare. It's frankly not happening.
As a point of order, let's keep comments strictly directed towards our presenter, since we are not discussing anything at the moment. Legislator Moore?
And I'm okay with general comments, like reactions to the presentation, if that's, because this is what we want to hear.
I guess here.
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Legislator Waters.
Sorry, I didn't hear what that was.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to proceed with questions, or would you like to proceed with your presentation?
Let me proceed with my presentation, and let's skip through. I'll just get to like the crux of it. So we're gonna speed through this, Mary. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. This is just showing us communities again, what they look like right now. This is a whole bunch of federal funding that we are, it's looking like we're going to lose out on. And that's just because of tax cuts that are happening right now. And we can move on to the next one. Move on to the next slide. So this is just building up to talking about the proposal about why should the wealthy in Michigan be paying their fair share? Why should the wealthy in Michigan be taxed? Well, it's because current taxes, like for example, the sales tax, every tax really hurts poor people and middle class people more than it does the top 1%, the top 4%, even the top 15%, as you see here. Just because, in the example that I use here all the time is like, if you have $5 for the week and you buy a granola bar and there's, 3 of your dollars gone, that really, that really hits your bank account. That really hits your wallet. Versus if you have like $5 million and you buy that same granola bar, you're also paying $3, right? And so you're left with still millions of dollars. And so we're just trying to make the general point of taxes they work similarly in that, at least in Michigan, where that you're paying the same rate no matter how much money you have. And so we'll move on to the next slide. So that's what I was hinting at. We have a flat income tax rate in Michigan, 4.25%. And what that means is so not federal income. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about Michigan state income tax. So this means no matter how much money you make, you get taxed at this rate. And so I'll transition this into talking about our initiative. What we want to do is create a graduated income tax or a surtax on the wealthy. And so what that means is there's a prohibition right now in our Constitution against a graduated income tax. And all that graduated income tax means is that wealthier people should pay more in taxes. So we would need to get rid of that prohibition that is saying that everyone should always get the same. And then step 2 is we want to put all the money that's raised by that tax into the school aid fund. And so that's where a lot of our school funding in Michigan comes from, and that includes higher ed, like universities. And so, Marion, I'm gonna have you like jump past a few slides just to get to the main point here. You can pass that one, you can pass that one. So let's move back one more. So yeah, for this to happen, we need 600,000 signatures. And this is, okay, we can move to the next slide. Yeah, I just want to hit back on why this matters to you as people in student government, as students, as people who care about higher ed because you're in it every day, right? $2 billion to the school aid fund would be huge. And I know I've dealt with the experience of like, well, admin's going to do whatever they want with the money, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, OU and every other university has a whole team of lobbyists, government affairs, government relations, whatever they call it. Those are lobbyists. And their job is to go to the state government and to lobby and fight for this funding. And so this is a great thing for you as a student government. You can say, hey, we want this service, we want this thing, we want the university to pay for this, because I know money is always a big thing that comes up, right? And you can say, hey, we know that $2 billion have just been put in the student aid, this school aid fund. Why don't you send your lobbyists after that and get some back for OU, right? So you have an improved negotiating position, and you know, at the end of the day, through that, you have better classroom supports, a better environment on campus. And let's move on to our last slide. And so this is just kind of the format of how this works again. So to be on the ballot in November 2026, we need to have like 600,000 signatures in the next few months. And then the next slide is just how to stay connected. Really just if you want to be on our email list or know our, have our Instagram, if you go to the next slide. But yeah, again, I just want to emphasize like what the initiative is, because I know I went through this kind of fast. But basically the idea is everyone in Michigan income tax pays the same rate right now. And what we want is for that the more money you make, the more that you pay. And what that looks like specifically is anyone making $500,000 or less, you're still being taxed at 4.25%. Anyone making, or every dollar that you make above that $500,000 will be taxed at like a few more percent, like a 3 or 4 more percent. And so even if you're still making over $500,000, your entire income is not being taxed at that higher rate. It's only every dollar you make above $500,000. So that's just to clarify like what the numbers look like on there. And so basically the idea is we want this ballot initiative would amend the Constitution to say that if you make over $500,000, every dollar above that should be taxed like 3 or 4% more. And we want to put all that money, we're going to earmark it in this ballot initiative. It would be allocated to the school aid fund. And so I want to just make that as clear as possible, because I know I went through it really fast and taxes are not really always the most fun thing or the most exciting thing. So I hope that cleared up if there was any confusion about questions and details. I don't know if we have time for more questions. If we do, I'm available. But also if you want to talk to me more, scan the volunteer with us QR code, because that means I'll be calling you. I can also leave my email in the chat because I know you guys have more going on today. Here.
We have enough time for one more question today.
Okay.
Legislator Wiegand.
So I actually really agree with graduated income tax brackets for the state, but I would say there's a video at the beginning that made that clear and talked a lot about institutions. So I would say that I didn't really understand the message or the goal of the solution based on the video, but I do agree with the graduate.
Yeah. I can quickly just, the video is just, you know, a lot of people have different ideas of taxes when they, like, you know, everyone thinks something different. Sometimes people think more negatively, right? And we're just trying to spread the message that it's not, doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's how we care for one another. You know, I've heard people say, you know, I feel most patriotic when I pay my taxes because I know that I'm paying to support my community, right? To lift my community up, which means we all lift each other up together kind of thing. And also to the question earlier, I'll just quickly add in about the tax evasion and corporations and, you know, creating jobs and whatnot. I would highly, highly recommend looking into mega tax credits. I don't remember the name of who asked that, but it's like all caps MEGA tax credits. That's a huge thing that happened in Michigan where they gave a lot of money to big corporations, a lot of times the big three, and the goal was to create jobs, and they were not able to create any jobs. And actually, there's a bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats are going after this next week, actually, at the state in Lansing, to say like we need to stop doing this because we're giving them billions of dollars and they're just taking it and they're not actually creating jobs. And so, and I'm sure I know there's a lot of dialogue on this topic, but that's just as a, you know, in terms of what's going on currently, it's a bipartisan thing where everyone's kind of coming together to say this hasn't worked how we wanted it to. But yeah, again, these are the QR codes to sign up to get more information, even if you're not sure, even if, you know I went really fast, that if you just like to learn more, and I left my email again in the chat. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Miriam. So if anyone is looking to get connected to Miriam after this, I'm happy to help out with that. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on. Next up on the agenda, we have the OUSC elections congressional address. This is presented by Director Richardson.
Thank you. Oh, great. We're done. We're gonna mess around with her. There, okay. We should be set. All right. We'll really quickly pull this up on our email. This thing on. I don't think it is. All right. Zoom that in a little bit, so nothing's spoiled just yet. All right. And we're set? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad to see so many faces here to, I'm assuming, to see the congressional address today. I'll keep it quick and short. Starting with who I am, if I hope everyone knows me by now. I am your elections commissioner. My name is Taylor Richardson. Thank you. And yeah, I'm excited to finally announce that elections have been over since Friday. Voting closed at 11:59, April 4th. In that time, the grievance committee, our amazing validations committee, had their meeting, came to a conclusion if there were grievances filed. And in that time, I was able to account votes and put it in here, this here document that you are seeing today. So, hello all. Thank you for everyone who is attending today's meeting to hear the results of the OUSC election. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to everyone who participated in this year's election. Sorry. Okay. Each and every candidate demonstrates criminal dedication and effort through the process, and they should all be incredibly proud of their contributions. To begin this address, I will now read the adjudication report as provided by the Validations Committee. This would be the hearing we had during the Validations Committee in which grievances were heard. Here are the members: Dakota Atkinson, Amelia Vegas, and Valentine. I'm going to butcher her last name, so I'm not going to say it. But they were all approved by this legislative body here. They are unbiased members, and they have come to the conclusion that of every count that we had, which all of them were the same account and also the same slate, which were posting campaign materials on non-OSI boards, they were found guilty of all accounts, 8 accounts, except count 3, which they were found not guilty. And their overall charge was found as such. In regards to the 8 grievances filed for the alleged violation of campaign materials not following Oakland University posting regulations, specifically of campaign posters hung on unapproved boards, the committee has voted to assign a level 2 sanction on the slate, specifically assigned to the Johnson Matthew presidential vice presidential ticket. A level 2 sanction as followed: a verbal reprimand and a deduction of 2% of the candidate's or ticket's total votes. The committee notes that this total 2% deduction should not be multiplied by the number of counts or grievances filed. So overall, the number percentage, I should say, taken off will just be 2%. Going forward, it's time. These are the ballot results. Okay. I will be moving to ballot results. A total of 465 votes were collected during 5 days of voting. All votes were personally verified by me using the list of eligible student email addresses provided by the Students Technology Center. Thank you, Leo. Eligibility was determined based on enrollment for at least one course during the current winter semester. I was solely individually responsible for the viewing and collecting of these responses. I am pleased to report that there was only one illegible or invalid vote that was identified. Sorry, improper grammar there. Okay, the vice president presidential result. In a total of 426 responses were received from the presidential and vice presidential slate vote. I want to congratulate the Johnson-Matthews slate for the accumulation of 176 valid votes. This includes the result of the sanction removing 2% of their total votes. Previous total was 42.1. Okay. This places them as the slate with the most votes with 40.1%. As such, they will serve as the OUSC Administration of the Year during the 2025-2026 term. Round of applause. Thank you, everyone. Some quick math. Johnson Matthew had 180 initial votes, 0 invalid votes. With the removal of the 2% of total votes via sanction, I'm just going to admit this person real quick. Level 2 decided by the validations committee. It was 3.6, so I rounded up. Okay, minus 4, 176. Total, there we go. The Smith-Strzelecki slate accumulated a total of 149 valid votes, which represents 34.8 of the votes collected in this section, I should say. They had 149 initial votes, 0 invalid votes, with a total of 149 votes. And the last slate accumulated a total of 87 votes, though there was 1 invalid vote, hence why it's been taken down to 86 votes. There were also write-ins for presidential and vice presidential tickets. This was accumulated to 3% of the total votes in this section. They are as followed. The random votes being like 1 vote for 1 person, which I'm assuming they tried to write in the legislative section. All right. Here is the pie chart from the form in which everyone voted on. Okay. Anyone else want to take a picture? I see 1 camera up. It's up to you. It's all public information. Okay, moving forward. We have the legislative tickets results. There were a total of 464 responses for legislative tickets, including write-in candidates. Write-in candidates must obtain a total of at least 2% of the total number of ballots cast to be eligible to assume a seat in the University Student Congress legislature. As there were 465 total ballots cast, 2% of the votes equates to 9 votes. I did adjust. There is an adjustment there. Sorry, that was just a failure of me to remove. I would like to congratulate, including the speaker, Clova DeVore, well, actually, that line should have been erased. There's going to be a total of 28 legislators. We had so many write-in candidates this year that we filled every single spot, which should be congratulated by itself, knowing that we are going to go. Knowing that we are going to go into the next term with all of our seats filled as legislators. So that itself is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. As the officially declared candidates, here is the list in total number of votes occurred. So I know I'm gonna butcher like half these names, so I'm not gonna say them, but you can take a look. They were on the ballot, so people voted, of course. Scroll down a little bit. That's the number of votes they have occurred. It's in the hundreds, pretty good. All right, moving forward. The valid number of votes for write-in candidates met the requirement of 9 votes as followed. I want to congratulate these write-in candidates for their accomplishments and able to get a seat on our legislative capacity. As I see, a lot of them are not in this room today. If you have contacts with them, please let them know.
I do.
Okay, thank you. They might have won, but I don't think they know they won. Okay. Okay. Here is the valid of the remaining write-in candidates as followed. Of course, like I said, we ran out of spots. They may have had the votes, but we ran out of spots. We have a total of 28 seats on our legislative. They all got filled. Yes.
Like if, I guess there's only one basically if somebody drops out, then it moves for these. Or any other candidates who were.
No, at this time, the election is finished. You'd have to occur write-ins. I mean, or get approved over the summer. My consent goes as far as Appendix 3, people. Please be nice to me. Here's the remaining. Okay. And here is the actual, like, what it looked like on the forums. Of course, you can see it goes Lance and then Jack. It's supposed to be Michael. Some of the names are not on there. because the Google form is trying to compress and it's struggling to do so. So, yeah.
I'm surprised people didn't legislate seemingly at all.
Thank you very much. Okay, like I said, because of the amount of varied responses, Google Forms consolidated the names labeling, hence why some candidates and responses may not be labeled on this graph. Okay, on to our referendum votes. Now, this first one was a doozy, I have to admit. I'm gonna preference now, after I show you, there is gonna be some further deliberating. We have to discuss how this vote will be concluded, because starting with the Student Activities Funding Committee response, it was a 50-50 vote with a total of 408 responses. It got split down the middle. Thank you. It is 204. Were you in the room? Did you see the results? Because I know you're on there. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so with this and the fact that I don't think this has happened, at least within the past like 3 years, there has to be further deliberation done by this current administration, even though I know the next one is going to be next week. So we will come back with that result at a later time. But please be patient with us as we decide if the president ultimately will have the final vote here. Can I take a question? Yeah. Considering it's our advisor, I'm going to let her speak.
In these, you have to go through and make sure that they were down to vote.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Yes. 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 Every single, like I said, we only had one invalid vote, and that vote was taken out of all of these graphs. They are not in these graphs. Their removal is what caused this. So that's what happened. We're okay with that.
Again, I do want to be able to talk with the elections commission here and everything like that too. But the Constitution does say that we need a majority of votes from that were casted to pass something. So you know what, never mind. I'm not gonna talk right now because we need to talk about this. I wasn't expecting this.
Yes. No, I promise. I saw this and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna present it, but I don't know what to do. All right, continue on. Like I said, this was a close race, but every other referendum passed with somewhat of a majority, and I'll get into every single one. So to decrease special projects fund from 1% to 0 and increase club sports percentage from 6 to 7. Club sports, I am very grateful to say that this has passed. You will receive more funding going forward. So very happy to see that. The allocating remaining amount of money to special projects fund balance to club sports also has passed. Okay, I should go into the percentages. A decrease the allocation of student activities funding board from 27 to 26 and increase club sports percentage to 6 to 8%. 59% and 0.6% of students decided yes, while 40.4% decided no. Continuing on, now to the Student Congress constitutional amendment. Blah, blah, blah. Amendment 1, Article Section A, Subsection B, Part 1 to strike 28 and replace it with 25 has been approved. I know we just admitted 28 legislators. To remind the body, this does not go into effect until the next administration. So come the next election. Oh, we need the Board of Trustees approval first. I thought we already had that. My apologies, everyone. But the student body has approved of it. So at least we have that. Continuing, create Part 2 under Article 1, Section A, Subsection B that reads Speaker of the Legislature. This has passed with an overwhelming 77% of votes from the student body. Yes. All right, so subsection below Article 1, Section A, Subsection B, Part 2. Again, overwhelming majority of 73.4%. The student body has agreed. Now this one, not so much of a majority, but still, to strike Student Services Committee, Civil Affairs Committee, and Scholarship Committee from the list of standing committees in Article 1, Section B, Subsection H, Part 1, strike SSC and CAC from Article 1, Section B, Subsection H, Part 2, Number 1. That was a mouthful. It's an approval of 52.4% from the student body. All right, amend Article 1, Section C, Subsection A, Part 1 to read each semester instead of term. This has passed with an overwhelming 82.8%. And again, amend Article 1, Section C, Subsection A, Part 1, Number 1 to replace shall with may. This has passed with 76.2%. These are a mouthful. Amend Article 2, Section A, subsection A, Part 1 to add and one speaker of the legislature. It's a list after student body vice president. Overwhelming majority said yes, 80%. And to strike financial affairs director, student service director, legislative affairs director, diversity and inclusion director, marketing director from Article 2, Section A, subsection A, Part 2 to replace administrative assistant with director of internal affairs. This has passed with 60.8%. Okay, almost done. Amend Article 2, Section E, subsection B to replace steering chair with speaker of the legislature. This has passed with 75.5% of the votes. And to amend Article 3, Section D, subsection B, Part 2, Number 2, to add, but the committee continues to debate until consensus can be found via vote after a tie vote fails. This has also passed with 80.8%. I kind of already read this one because they're kind of the same, so I'm just going to say it's passed with 78.7%. Again, it's the same, with passing of 79.4%. Funny how they're off by some percent, you know, it's fun. Aren't election oils also fun? Amend Article 6, Section A, subsection C to add Part 1 that reads, in such circumstances, the voting member will be illegible to vote in duration of that meeting. This has passed with 69.3% of the vote. And amend Article 6, Section B, subsection B in Part 1 to replace steering chair with speaker of the legislature. This has passed with 75.9% of the votes. That is all of the referendums on our ballot. Again, thank you, student body, for voting. Thank you, everyone in this room, for encouraging the student body to vote. These are very important issues, and we had great turnout. And we're very, very proud of the results going forward. And for everyone who has helped with the process, I appreciate every single one of you. This concludes my congressional address. I want to sincerely thank you all for appointing me for this position and placing your trust in me to carry out these responsibilities. It has been an honor to help guide this important first step towards the future of Student Congress. I extend my gratitude to the incoming administration and look forward to witnessing the continued growth of this organization and to each of you for the years to come. Thank you very much. Don't mind me running into the wall. She's about to die. Oh, I don't know. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Figure it out.
I would. Students will have to be paying just one multiples rather than. That's the difficult. With the MP, we're going to determine whether that gets released.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Director Richardson. Next up, we'll go ahead and move on to announcements. Is there any announcements anyone would like to make at this time for the good of the group? Director Skinner?
So, we have. Sorry, you just remembered. We have the art fair on Wednesday. That's gonna be, let me just get the times up. But if you still want to submit art, you still can. I'm not sure what the thing says, but yeah, you can still submit it. Yeah, you can still submit it. It's from 11 to 1. We're gonna have a bunch of, we're gonna be painting tote bags, a bunch of really fun stuff. And then the day after that, we need volunteers for the Repair Cafe. That's April 10th. 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Yeah. And then the trail is completely blazed. Not completely blazed, but if you go on it, you won't get lost. So a lot of good progress has been made on that. Thank you. Ooh.
Legislator Pimenta. So anyway, as a bonfire, it's our last event of the semester, 6:30 to 7:30. If everyone stop by, and we'll have Jed's Pizza, Insomnia cookies, and s'mores.
Great, is there any other announcement at this time for the good of the group? Director Skinner?
I'm sorry, what organization was that? I just.
Association.
Oh, okay, what times?
Great, any other announcements at this time for the good of the group? Great, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on. Next up on the agenda, we have new business. First up under new business, we have CB 6733. This is presented by Legislator Pershandaro. On the floor.
Working with Mr. Hanson, approach the student organic farm to get them some more equipment that they need. If you could go to the sheet within that. Thank you. She gave President Garcia a few weeks ago a wish list of items that are desired. And we went through them and got her priorities and did some price comparing, price matching, and came to this list. The large commercial sink is for washing produce, which is a thing that they can't do super easily right now, and just makes it a lot better. If you scroll down, it's a faucet for the sink, and then a large nursery cart for moving around their freshly potted plants. That is quite an expensive cart, as you may notice, but it is uniquely heavy duty for its requirements. And there's certain things about it that she requires. For example, it doesn't have inflatable tires because it's a very rough environment at the Lorax site. And she doesn't want to have to worry about maintenance. So this is the final list that we arrived at, and the total is just under $2,000. The language of the bill itself is, whereas the Student Organic Farm is an invaluable institution on campus, and one that Student Congress has contributed greatly to in the past, and the Student Organic Farm and Lorax are chronically funded and under. All this bill does is create a new line item under the sustainability budget for student organic farm equipment and gives that line item $2,000. Thank you.
Is there any discussion or comments on this time? Director Skinner?
Hello. This organic farm has been doing amazing work. Like really, these guys are really good at what they do. And this equipment is very much needed for the summer. The produce washing is to ensure it is in compliance so that it can be given to the pantry. If it's not washed correctly, they can't give it to the pantry. And these sinks will be put in the greenhouse where the produce is grown. So volunteers coming to the farm can wash the plants. It'll just be a more efficient, more straightforward process. And when it comes to the cart is it's a heavy duty cart that's made for gardening. It's got not inflated, it's solid tires, like said, which is going to be really good because the farm gets quite muddy. There's a lot of sharp objects. I mean, we all know our cart, it gets really flat when you put anything heavy on it and it's hard to draw around. Yeah, I would say this is very important equipment needed for the farm. And yeah.
Parliamentarian Lumber?
I agree, the equipment is very important for the farm over the summer. I really like this. Oh, wow,
I still got a mic from you.
I really like this initiative. Because the organic farm, they grow several different types of produce and they contribute to the student food pantry. And they help with security around campus. And I've had experience weeding and maintaining the organic farm with the Pollinator Club last summer, and I plan on doing that again. And I also plan on helping the organic farm with their produce. This is a wonderful thing. And I actually think, it's a great environmental sustainability initiative. I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor to this bill, legislator Shinaro.
Is there any other comments or questions regarding CB 6733 at this time? Go ahead and move on. Thank you very much, Legislator Shinaro. All right. Next up, we will go ahead and move to old business. Under old business, we have CB 6732. This is presented by Speaker Johnson. You have the floor. And I'm going to hand you this mic.
How do you folks, I don't need to say a whole lot about it. As I said last time, the bill is to put some money aside to fund. Which we should so do, because the companies are really fun. I will yield for questions if anyone has any.
Any questions regarding CB 6732 at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Really quickly, before we go ahead and move into that vote, go through and make sure we lost anyone since the last. Legislator DeVore.
Yeah.
Legislator Mullins. Legislator Rosario. Legislator Waters.
Yeah.
Speaker Johnson.
Yeah.
Majority Leader Smith. Chairperson Valdez. Parliamentarian Munger. Legislator Ali. Legislator Drizwicki. Legislator Iveza. Legislator Iveza. Legislator Maku. Legislator Mason. I see a yay in the chat. Legislator Prishandaro. Legislator Wiegand. Legislator Wolf. Alrighty, with that, CB 6732 has been approved by the legislature. Right. Next up on the agenda, we have discussion. There is nothing under discussion for today, so we're going to go ahead and move right into legislative updates. First up, we have updates from Speaker of the Legislature, Speaker Johnson. I appreciate it.
As I stated earlier. Check the DP runner. Figuring out the full mindful Mondays. Was beyond. I'm sure she can attest to that. Other than that, we're just rolling out the end of this term and. Soon we can do it as smoothly as possible. And I will yield the floor.
Great, thank you, Speaker Johnson. Is there any liaisons with us today that would like to provide their report? Great, seeing none at this time, is there any updates related to legislative projects and initiatives at this time? Any questions related to legislative reports? Parliamentarian Munger.
I would like to give a liaison report on behalf of the PCO liaison Moeller. I actually was able to recruit a couple e-board members for PCO for the summer semester. So the club is gonna be alive. And Jimena, would you be able to send me the information for Riley? That'd be great. Because I'd like to get her recruited to PCO. So far, I got legislator Rosario recruited to PCO. And then Sabrina Moeller found another member. So if we could keep this going, that'd be great.
All right, thank you, Parliamentarian Munger. Moving on, we will next move into executive reports. First up, we have President Garcia.
You know, I did not finish writing my report, but before I go into a couple of things that I've been working on, I do want to comment on the vote that took place earlier today regarding the resolution. I don't know if some of you might have voted against it just because you don't like, business being put on the agenda last minute, or if there's an underlying reason. I do just want to say that I'm really ashamed to see that there's students who claim themselves to be representatives of the student body, not want to represent a huge chunk of students on OU's campus, international students. There's a lot of us today here that are either international or our parents are from another country. It's part of OU's culture, and I think it's really shameful for a lot of you to have voted against that. If that was the reason you voted against it, but yeah, I would really like to see something. I would really like to see I don't know, I guess just a little bit more dignity from our student representatives. But the next thing, moving on from that, I would also just like to say that I've just been working and supporting my e-board members through this last month of my administration, and also working on a food pantry donation, and a couple of other things that I didn't have time to write down on my report. Oh, and also we had 11 Unity rally that was really successful on Thursday. A lot of really great conversation and unity with all of our community members here at OU. But that's all from me. Thank you.
Great, thank you, President Garcia. As for my report, I will build off of that a little bit regarding Love and Unity. It was very successful. We had a good number of students there. I appreciate all of you who took the time out of your day to come and help out with that. We had some great speakers. I think it was a great event. And building off of that, I wanted to remind all of you about the OU Senate meeting coming up on April 17th. This is going to be the meeting that we put up Speaker Johnson's resolution to preserve PEI initiatives here on campus. We are in the process of securing that resolution on the agenda for the Senate. Should we not be able to, we will be progressing in a different manner, although the topic will be discussed at the meeting. And I think it would be important to have our students, especially our student representatives there, to display the fact that we all represent the entire student body. And that there is a lot of students who want to see those initiatives and offices preserved. So I have the date and time up there. If you have any questions about it, please come ask me. I'm happy to chat about it. Last week we had task forces. We workshopped the election reform bills that Director Lehman Pace had put up previously. In addition to that, is there any interest from any legislators who were not there at task forces who would like to workshop those bills at this week's legislature meeting? Just a quick raise of hands. We can't take any comments from the gallery now, but in a couple moments it will be on the agenda for you. Yes. Legislator DeVore.
I'll give you the room, but Speaker Johnson mentioned to me earlier that the legislature meeting this week would be moved to the I forgot what banquet it was, but something on Wednesday, because you were gonna be out of state. I don't know if that means we're not gonna be able to meet to discuss that resolution or that bill put up by Director Leonard.
So we had talked about it. Speaker Johnson was okay with canceling the legislature meeting to have everyone attend that banquet. Out of show of hands, is there anyone who would be interested in workshopping those bills additionally? Just to gauge interest on them. Okay. I'm gonna talk more with Speaker Johnson and get all of you a definitive answer on what will be happening with the legislature meeting. And I will update all of you hopefully by the end of tonight. But in the meantime, regardless of the piece with any thoughts about the elections reforms, we want as much input on all of that as possible, so please make sure your voice gets heard. In addition to that, we are working on getting the vending machine up and running. I'm sure you're all very sick of hearing that. We have discovered that some of the springs within the vending machine work totally normally. So we're going to be partially implementing that. I'm working on testing those last little springs and trying to figure out those fun, technical, logistical kinks with all of that. So in the meantime, we'll be having tabling for all of the vending machine products to start distributing them some more. I'm going to get those dates and times from Director Richardson, hopefully very soon. Oh. So since we're in the process of figuring that out still, I will update all of you in Slack with those dates and times. Please make sure to sign up to work the tabling. It'll be in the tabling sign up. If you have any questions, come talk to me. And then finally, also working on transition stuff, making sure that the incoming administration has as much information on everything so that they can continue the stuff that we've been doing for a year. Yeah, okay. All right.
Can you mention things about people attending?
Yes, just to reiterate, as I previously mentioned, these,
You already started? Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
just kidding, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Next up, in terms of executive reports, we have an update from our OUSC advisor, Advisor Miller.
Thank you. I just have one announcement. I was approached today by a candidate for the mayor. Yak. He is looking for volunteers or individuals that would like to campaign for the city of Pontiac. Well, they're nonpartisan. And the top two candidates, they have the primary in August, but the top two that want to become candidates for the mayor of Pontiac. But if you are looking for volunteer hours during the summer, or you need probably a non-paying internship, I have information that I am happy to pass out to you if you are interested in participating. And other than that, please come to the etiquette mixer tomorrow and to the student organization banquet on Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Before everyone starts to head out, okay.
Okay. Is there any updates related to e-board initiatives? Director Skinner?
We have wonderful news on campus. There is a southeast corner of campus, part of, it's not part of the biopreserve, but it's forest, so it's basically part of the biopreserve. It has been it was slated for development on the master plan and it's been taken off, it's been saved. So we have a corner of campus forested that is not going to be developed. Wonderful news. Thank you, everyone.
Is there any other updates related to e-board projects and initiatives at this time? Director Richardson?
An example. Well, our wonderful vice president is pulling the, now I am not the election commissioner. Done. Hey. I have to worry about my DA responsibilities, and guess what, guys? Exam is next week. I hope y'all didn't miss it, because it's back. It's gonna be back. We're not sure with this time. I'm excited because I miss exam cram. I miss being the little DIA that I am. Yeah, so when your exams come and hit us hard, we have Monday, April 14th from 12 to 2, and we have Tuesday, April 15th from 12 to 2. Tabling, if anyone goes through the tabling sign up right now, I'm about to send out an email reminding you all about that sign up sheet. Exam cram winner is the exam cram sign up that I would like every single one of you to go to. It's amazing hours, one, because except 12 to 2, we're gonna be in the library, you're gonna get free food, and you just love free food. And you get to chat with students. That's the best part of Congress, so please sign up, I would really appreciate it, and yeah, thank you everyone, that's all I've said.
Ready? Is there any other updates related to e-board projects and initiatives at this time? Okay, seeing none, is there any questions related to executive reports? All right, seeing none, is there any comments from the gallery at this time?
Switching to be joining you all in 14. I saw on the agenda that there was something about a ballot reform or electoral reform. Elections reform, thank you. Are non-members, are current non-members allowed to join now, or do I have to wait until the election?
So you do technically have to wait until the next administration begins, but I will say that all of the bills and resolutions we pass are public. We are always open to input from the student body. So by all means, come and chat with one of us if you have any ideas or concerns or questions or comments regarding any of that. Any other comments from the gallery at this time? Director Lehman, please.
I just wanna say, if you would like to read over my reform bill and the appendix, and the appendices of the bylaws that it amends, you can email me. I will give you my email after this, or it's on our public contact sheet. And yeah, I'd love to talk about it. Thank you.
Alrighty. Seeing as there are no other comments from the gallery, is there any announcements anyone would like to make at this time for the good of the group? Director Hadid?
I don't know, I mean, this is something like people vote and you don't understand what they're voting for, if you guys could like read the vote, because like, I don't know, does everyone know what the resolution was about that they were voting for, the ICE one? And everyone know what it, like, what ICE is and what it means to even just like discuss the resolution, like, is there like a thing, if people don't know what they're.
There will be an opportunity to attempt to put it up at upcoming general body meetings, so for clarification. Any other announcements at this time for the good of the group? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 6:26 p.m.
Oh.